Hi, my name is Cameron Maynard, and for my Week 4 video journal, I am doing a summary on Chapter 8 of the Ryan and Staten textbook titled Interactive Multi-Species Documentary Methods in Wretched Waters, The Slow Violence of the Rio Dace Disaster. So, basically, it was a pretty enjoyable chapter, I thought. These people made a documentary using multimedia and things like sounds and cameras strapped to a dog. They basically made 43 little films, and out of that, they made a documentary, which honestly took them a pretty good while. They wanted to record the effects of this devastating tragedy and accident on the ecosystem from the perspective of somebody besides people, like, from the animals, the river, from the trees, and things like that. Um, Again, I enjoyed reading the chapter. I thought it was very thought provoking, and just like a lot of lessons I've read in this this class and stuff like that. A lot of things I've seen in this class, a lot of stuff I've read. It really opened my eyes to things related to journalism that I never really thought about, and just like getting the perspective of things from things such as, aside from people. If I had to act as a devil's advocate here and criticize something from the chapter, along with it being a little tough to understand at times, but still enjoyable, I personally think it would be hard to get perspectives from things other than people, such as animals, for example. If you had to get perspective from things such as animals, I guess you could get perspective on certain things related to them by judging by their behavior, the noises they make, and things like that. For the trees and from the river, I guess from the river, from the noise the rivers make, from the way the trees sway back and forth from the wind. That's just something that you kind of have to go out of your comfort zone and really try to dig deep and see how other journalists have taken on that. And I think that would be honestly a cool thing to do, considering that I've covered mostly sports in my lifetime and now news. And that would be interesting in my opinion to kind of do that kind of story where you have to deal with like animals and trees and rivers and things like that. That would be cool. um, the connection I can make between this chapter and my career is that it's yet another thing that I can look at and say, hey, maybe this information might come in handy at some point in my career. For instance, as a news reporter, maybe I might take on a story that's unique enough to where I'd have to get perspectives from things other than people. I feel like it's something I would have to study. I'd have to learn how to do and research to see how other journalists have done those kinds of stories in the past. But again, it's something that I thought something I think would be really really cool. And reading this chapter, it was really interesting, thought provoking. Like I said, even though like I said it was tough, a little tough to read at times, but again it really opened my eyes to the possibilities of certain things in journalism that I'd never thought of before, and that's really kind of I feel like been the mo so far in this class, and that can only be a good thing, and that can only increase my knowledge as a journalist.